Hello, world. Oh my gosh, Megan, where in the world have you been? I know, right? I've been gone for like ever. It's been like a year and a half. So, what in the world happened to me? Oh my gosh, it's been so crazy. A lot can happen in 18 months, year and a half, whatever you want to talk, whatever you want to call it. But first, let's talk about what happened to me. Why did I stop filming YouTube videos anyway? Well, I made a promise to myself, all right, I'm gonna start filming. Like, I want to share the information that I have, and I was doing really good, except I'm really busy. Like, I'm a teacher, I'm a single mom of 3 extremely busy girls, and I coach 2 sports, matter of fact. And I was in the middle of transitioning from one season to another. So I was actually coaching 2 sports at the exact same time. And I was trying to film and edit and do all this stuff. And I actually got sick, really sick, back to back, twice in a row. And I was just like, Megan, you know what? Something's got to give. And it wasn't going to be my job, wasn't going to be my coaching. Of course, it wasn't going to be my family. So YouTube had to go. So what's been going on in these past 18 months that I have completely been off YouTube, haven't filmed not a thing, barely respond to any comments? Well, let me tell you. First, like I said, I coached, I got sick. So after I finally got healthy and decided something had to give, I still had a lot going on. My daughter was running track. One of them was running track. The other 2 had school stuff going on too. And it was just a lot. In this past year and a half, I gained 20 pounds. I lost 20 pounds. I cut my hair again. I mean, you can't really tell because it's up in a bun right now. But I did another big chop. I think I chopped like 6 inches off. Number of reasons why I did a big chop. This was June of 2019. So the last video I filmed was like March of 2019. So June 2019, I did a big chop because my daughter, she needed a big chop and she wanted to do a big chop. So I big chopped with her. She wanted it. I didn't necessarily want it, but my hair was getting like super duper thin and it was just brittle and breaking off all the time anyway. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start over. Like, that's the best thing for me. I'm just going to start over, big chop, cut my hair. I will insert a picture so you guys can see just how short my hair was. And you can also see in my face just how chubby I was. Ugh. Anyway, that summer, one of my twins ran track. She did really, really good. I was so proud of her. Towards the end of the summer, school started back, of course, and went back to coaching, back to teaching, and didn't have time for YouTube. I was like, you know what? I don't have time to start this again. So I did do a Tough Mudder though, and it was amazing. I met this group off of Meetup. So I did it with a bunch of strangers, which I don't recommend. And I was so out of shape. I was like 179 pounds trying to do this full on Tough Mudder. And I vowed to myself, all right, you don't have to do all the obstacles, Megan, but you do have to finish. So I think that Tough Mudder that I did, they're usually in between like 8 and 10 miles. That particular one I did ended up being like 9.5 miles. And I probably did, I don't know, I think there's like 25 obstacles. I'm pretty sure I did like, I attempted 21 of the 25. So I felt really good, especially for being out of shape. But all those people that I met up with, they all left me because I was so out of shape. I pretty much walked the whole thing, which took me a while, but it's okay. One of the scariest ones for me was like when we did the neck climb. It was super duper high. It was so crazy. One of the other ones that I really, really didn't like was there's like this pit of water, and then there's a net over the top of water, and you got to climb underneath on your back, and really like it's just like this part of your head that is like sticking out from underneath, and you gotta pretty much use your upper body to pull while laying on your back in water. Like your ears are under it just felt really uncomfortable and claustrophobic, and I'm not claustrophobic at all, which is really crazy. So and then one of the other ones, which actually like it was weird but it felt good at the same time because it's Texas in September, super duper hot, was the ice bath. Like it was so freaking cold, and they have this thing where you have to go underneath, so you are completely submerged in this ice bath, and then you have to walk the rest of the way out. So I thawed really quickly because it, like I said, it's September in Texas, but that was kind of weird. It was like a weird feeling. I don't know how to describe it. So on and so forth. Of course, school continues, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then one of the twins decided last year that she wanted to play high school basketball. She ended up making the team. There were like 50 girls that tried out. She really, really wanted to do it, so I put her in a prep program. Of course, having to drive her back and forth to that, along with she was still doing track practice, training for indoor track. So it was just a lot going on. She did end up making the team. I was so proud of her. I was so excited. But of course, with me coaching basketball, I missed like her first 2 games, and it just broke my heart. Like I felt so bad. I couldn't see her games. So I had decided then that I was going to try to make some changes. Anyway, so I ended up supporting her. Eventually made most of the rest of her games, and I wanted to go on a cruise. We were supposed to be going to Cuba. That got nixed because Donald Trump decided to close those borders to Cuba again. I decided I was still going to go on a cruise anyway. I was supposed to be going to the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas. This was in March. I had signed us up for spring break. It was great. We were going to go. And we did go, even amid the concerns of the pandemic. Now, in the beginning of March, it was really, really like the very, very beginning of March when we were supposed to be going on our cruise. There were like a few cases of COVID here. Most of them were in Washington, very few cases here. And so we decided, all right, I'm gonna take the chance anyway. So took the chance, went on a cruise. Cruise was great and bad at the same time. Like, you're like probably like, how can a cruise be great and bad? Well, I always love the food on cruises. Like they always have kind of like some good stuff going on. And I went Carnival cruise, but the seas were so bad and choppy. We didn't get to go to the Dominican Republic. Like I was so bummed. That's really the main reason why I decided to continue with my cruise anyway after Cuba was canceled. So we couldn't port at the Dominican Republic because the seas were just so choppy. We got our port fees back. We couldn't port, or we ported at the Bahamas, but the excursion that I signed up for, it was too windy that day. We were supposed to be going parasailing. It's too windy that day, so we couldn't do that either. So we ended up just hanging out at the beach, which it was still just so beautiful, crystal clear waters. I'm gonna put in a picture here. I'll show you. It was amazing. And then we made it back to the States safe and sound, no health issues. But while we're at the airport waiting for the plane so that we can go home to Dallas, and I get an email from my kids' school. We are shutting down. We're extending spring break for another week. And I was like, now I don't work in the same school district that my kids attend school. So I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if they're going to do the same thing for my school district. And like an hour later, I get an email from my school district saying the exact same thing. Like, but at that time, we're talking still the first week of March. So there maybe have been like 2 people at the airport that I seen with masks. It wasn't really still a big thing. Like, it had not blown up yet. Man, we get back to Texas. I had been gone for a week. I couldn't get barely no food. There was no pasta, no rice, no bleach, no Clorox, no toilet paper, barely any bottled water. I was like, this is crazy. I had to go to like 4 different places just to find some bottled water. Luckily, I shopped at Costco, so I still had like a stock of toilet paper, but I was in shock and all that like all this stuff was gone, and I could afford it, but I couldn't even get to it because we were on vacation. So I don't know. It was just crazy. And then of course, spring semester was crazy. Clearly we never went back to school. We had to figure out a way to do online teaching. I had to figure out a way to do my kids' online teaching. My poor daughter, she was about to run track for her school for the first time. Never eventually got to do that. I felt really bad for them. Felt really bad for all the high school seniors. Yeah. And then this past summer, I decided to move. Like, I'd been living in the same apartment for 3 years. And then it was just with my twins, pretty much the same size as I am now, as at least in height. They were all in the same room, and it was too many hormones. So I was like, we need to get a bigger place. So send the kids to their dads, and I move from an apartment to a house by myself. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have moved when they were here so they could help me. It took so much energy. And I paid people to help me move. I don't even know what was going on. It was crazy. But moved, finally got all this stuff set up. I bought a bunch of like IKEA furniture because I like IKEA. Like some of this stuff can be like really cheap and trash, but some of it's really good. So I went to IKEA, I don't know, maybe like 5 times, just walking through, kind of seeing what I really wanted for the house, seeing what I needed. And I'll show you guys probably in another video what I eventually got from IKEA. But finally got the girls back, got my house set up, got all the IKEA furniture put together. It's a bad thing about IKEA, good or bad, depending on how you feel about it. Most of the times I actually don't mind putting things together, but when you buy a bunch of stuff at the same time that needs to be put together, it's kind of a pain, let me tell you. Anyway, so yeah, now we're getting ready to go back to school, but now I feel like I can just settle down. I got space to where we can all stretch out. We're not all on top of each other. We're getting ready to go back to school as students and as a teacher during this pandemic. So this in and of itself is going to be extremely interesting. Our first 3 weeks here in this particular area is going to be done virtually, and then we're going to go to in person. I don't know what it's going to look like. Of course, we're in a pandemic. Nobody knows what the future is going to look like. All we want is to go back to normal, and sadly, that's probably not feasible for the anytime soon, pretty much. But anyway, I digress. I kind of just wanted to give everyone a heads up as to where the heck I've been for this last year and a half. Like, I didn't give up completely on my YouTube channel, but life happens, right? I mean, it is what it is. But I am back. I hope you tune in. Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.